Well, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to put some is being sent to a third party. Okay. Did you guys know that? I'm getting a notice the content at this meeting is being sent to a third party.
I saw it.
Well, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to put some.
Oh, Kyoko, Kyoko and I were just talking before this. We wanted to record this so that we can pass this to the rest of the team later. If that, or Kyoko, did you want to mention your reasoning there? Just so that Judy knows what's going on.
Yeah, so I just started the YouTube live streaming. Nobody's watching because I haven't really given anybody the information, but that will be the recording. And tonight I have a short presentation where we stand, and then we're gonna have Judy answering the questions where Arizona is. Bob, do you wanna start it?
Sure. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us tonight for the Swing Left Tri-Valley January meeting. The Tri-Valley covers the Dublin, Pleasanton, San Ramon, Livermore area. And this is a grassroots group focused on voter outreach. And we are very excited to have some featured speakers here tonight. We're in the process of thinking through as a team what we want to do to contribute to the 2024 election. So we appreciate the news and the insight about the situation in Arizona and about the opportunities and the challenges. And Kyoko is always our master strategist here, has some more recent thinking on that. So I appreciate all the volunteers who showed up tonight to chat. We're recording this so we can get this out to the rest of the team, and also thank you, Judy, for coming up.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first part is why Arizona and where do we stand in national things. So I just put stuff together, only if I can find it. Yes.
Yep, that's coming through.
Okay. Sorry, it doesn't go through. So why? Yeah, 2024 national landscape, and this is as of today. So I just did a bunch of updates. There are some polls coming in and stuff like that, so it's changing. And it's kind of neutral. We have tough year this year, but it's doable. That's what I think, and that's what the most people actually do think. And our focus has been federal Congress, but we actually started to work with Judy back in 2020, and we know how important state legislative races are and why it is. That's what I'm going to talk about briefly. So we need trifecta to legislate. It used to be we have bipartisan effort to do good for your country, to do good for your state, and so forth. But somehow it got lost in translation last 10 years or so. So we really need to have them trifecta to legislate. If we want to make real change, we have to legislate. We have to make laws. And to do that, we need to actually have trifecta. Meaning federal level, it's a president. We have to have president. We have to majority in Senate. We have to have majority in House. It reflects in the local state level, and that's governor, state senate, state House Assembly. It depends on the states and how they put it together, but that's 3 governmental branches. And we need to have control over those to take back our country and put a lot of things we want to become reality. So federal power balance, as of today, we have President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. Senate, we have 48 Dems, 49 Republicans, and 3 independents. And 3 independents caucus with the Dems. therefore we have majority, and it's a clear majority because we don't need Vice President Harris's vote to break ties. In the House, we lost it last year. We have 213 Dems, 220 Republicans, and 2 vacancies. So those 2 vacancies will be filled, and we are trying to get at least one. That's the New York District 3. So Dems nationally talk about we need to take back 5 seats, and then we can flip the House. It sounds easy to do, but not really. And we don't even know exactly where they are. So who will be on the ballot in 2024? Presidential year, so president will be on the ballot. Senate, so senator has 6 years terms, and every 2 years, 1/3 of the senators will be on the ballot. So 20 Dems, 11 Republicans, and 3 independents. They are all on the ballot this year. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not really sure, the Manchin of the West Virginia decided not to run for the re-election. So we are pretty much sure we are going to lose that particular seat to the Republicans. That means we have 0 race we can lose in the Senate. We have to win all 20 Dems and 3 independents, and possibly it will be it has to be actually 21 Dems and 2 independents after this election. House, 435 seats. Every single seat will be on the ballot this year. So we just need to win half plus 1. That's what it is. And the state level, state of control, currently we have 17 Democratic trifecta, 23 Republican trifecta, and 10 are split. So they have to either negotiate or they cannot legislate. That's where they are. Who will be on the ballot? 3 Dems, 8 Republicans for the governor, state Senate, 15 Democrats, majority states, and 26 Republicans, majority states. House state house-wise, 18 Dems and 24 Republicans. So these are the states. So it's not about how many seats we are doing it, but those are the states numbers, and I will talk about later on where we can actually have more control. So everybody wants to know about the presidential election and forecast. We need 270 electoral college to win. That number is super important, and that's why there is a website even 270 to win. And this is current polling kind of forecast. There are some difference between different sites and so forth, but so this is not exact science, or this is not real prediction. This is where we stand now, and need to think about polls, Biden's behind and stuff like that. But Biden is incumbent, and there is no contest for the Dems. So the Republicans are more engaged at the moment, and that's one reason Republicans' polls are actually doing better than we want. And it's gonna change, and we still have 10 more months, and so that's a long way for the election. But that being said, because of the past elections, we know these are pretty close to where we have concerns. So the numbers are the electoral college. So right now, leaning Dems 2 states, toss up, there are 77 electoral college at stake. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, they are the ones in making up that 77 electoral college. And Lean's Republicans is the main in North Carolina. So what that means, we just need to win some combination of toss-up, and the leaning Dems has to be secured. Then we can actually win. So it's not actually as bad as we think about. It's doable. And then U.S. Senate election forecast. I've already told you guys, we cannot lose any Senate seat if we want Biden to keep appointing administration and judges and so forth. That's a minimum. So we do not want to lose any Senate seats. Lean stems 4 states, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Toss-up is Arizona, Montana, and Ohio. And there is no leaning Republicans, and next up is a likely Republicans, that's Florida and Texas. So what does it mean? We really would like to secure everything, and this is not the year try to flip any seats. Not likely we can flip in like Florida and Texas. And especially they are no longer battleground states for the presidential. So the people who live there have to fight for themselves. And this is not the year we can actually share any of our power or the capacity to help those states. That's what I think. So U.S. Congress map, Congress races are not exactly ready to be giving the real forecast. Why is that? House maps are still being redrawn. So as you may know, redistricting happens every 10 years, and every single congressional district was redrawn in 2021. There have been a lot of gerrymandering happening. It caused the 2010, we lost, Democrats lost to Republicans. In 2011, there have been tons of gerrymandering. That's exactly why we have been struggling that 2021 to 2012 through 2020. And the new maps were drawn, but still there were so many gerrymandered maps. But this time we were ready. So there have been a lot of litigations, and some mixed results were actually given. And so 2022, North Carolina actually had state Supreme Court actually draw the temporary map, which was a neutral map, resulted 7 Dems and 7 Republicans. Unfortunately, that same year, North Carolina lost Dem Supreme Court judge seat. So it flipped to them to Republicans. It resulted last year, North Carolina drew new map, and now it's gerrymandered heavily. 10 Republicans, 3 Dems, and 1 competitive. That's the result. So that means at least 3 loss in North Carolina for the Democrat seat, and 3 actually current representatives are not even running. So we know we've already lost 3. Alabama actually had litigation, and they were ordered to do new map, and it resulted, the new map includes 1 African American dominant district. So that's a +1 Dem. That's more likely. So now it's a 3 - 1. So 2 seats more we need to win. We were hoping Georgia also needed to redo the new map for the racial gerrymandering, but Georgia Republicans came out with this new map. They fixed one side, but they just kind of used the different maneuvers and still partisan gerrymandered, and the number hasn't changed. Last year, we worked hard to win the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. In December, they ordered new state legislative maps. This is not the congressional maps, so it's not going to affect 2024. But if it stays, that means the next cycle, we are going to actually able to draw better map. Or next year, after the 2024 elections, it's more likely congressional maps will be challenged and there will be more litigations going on. So Wisconsin is something to look up and keep an eye on, but we don't know. We don't think 2024 will change anything for the House. This year, currently, Louisiana is redrawing, and by January 31st, they have to put the new map together. And this will result another African American dominant district. So it's more likely one more dance. New York is also redrawing, and it's being ordered by February 28th. This is a really stupid one because the Dem gerrymandered heavily and it got caught, and court ordered map was not favoring them at all. If they actually drew fair maps, they didn't need to go through all this and lose a lot of sheets. So this is ongoing, and hopefully this will be fairer maps and not get challenged again, because it's really waste of tax dollars and everything. Still, Florida, South Carolina, Texas, ongoing litigation on the racial gerrymandering, but not likely to change for 2024. So there are lots of things going on, and we don't know where it's going to be 100%. That being said, of course, everybody is predicting somewhat. And then one of the reasons we lost House in 2022 was we lost California and New York. So these are the ones we need to regain, and it should be doable. So we have 14 leaning Dems districts for the House, and we need to get them 100% for sure. And there are 24 toss-ups. Among them, California had 3, Arizona had 2, New York had, at this point, 5. So if we actually win all these by itself, we can actually take back House. That's a lot. And we don't know how the New York redistricting is going to affect with this. And we still have leaning Republican side. It may be flippable if we have extra capacity, but that is still to be seen. So why we even talk about the state chambers? State chambers, state legislators have actually a lot of power. They can decide how the healthcare will be provided to their own states. So ACA allowed to Medicaid expansion. So all the people who are low income could get covered. There are still states who have not expanded it. So their people do not have any coverage. And of course, everybody knows reproductive freedom is at stake. Gun violence prevention, since there are no federal regulations, you can actually control at the state levels a lot. It still, need the federal legislation, but right now, that's where we are. And of course, redistricting is totally up to state registration. And so do the election and voting procedures. So we really need to have state chambers in our side, or actually to the people's side. So we have the fair elections and we have issues to be dealt with. So 2024 state elections, I already talked about current state controls, where we are. And in 2022, we did really good. Dems gained trifecta in Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, and Minnesota. And then Dems broke Republican trifecta in Arizona. We have now the governor. And the Republicans broke Democratic trifecta in Nevada. That's a loss of the governorship. So we have all these changes possible, and it's easier by comparison. But other than statewide elections, each legislative district are smaller. So the money or our help, our support means much more for the state races. In 2024, governors of North Carolina, he's timing out. So we need to keep that one, because North Carolina is both state House and Senate are Republicans. New Hampshire, leaning Republicans, but we may be able to capture that one. State Senate, the only states which is competitive toss-up is Arizona. State House, Arizona is tilted Republicans, but within our reach. New Hampshire and Pennsylvania are leaning Dems. We need to keep them in Dems. So those are the possible races in state elections. So put all these things together. So this is why Arizona is so important. Arizona have electoral college toss-up 11. Senate is toss-up. We have 2 House districts, AZ-1 and 6. They are toss-up, and Senate and House. We can actually get everything by helping Judy. That's where Judy's races are so important. So Legislative District 2, Judy is now the representative, so she is switching to Senate. But unlike California, Legislative District has 2 House representatives and 1 senator. So entire district has been her battleground. So she is probably known as well as a senator, hopefully, and we would love to win her. So all the other stuff, it's there, and we really would like to have the best effort to the results. And that's why I think Arizona, especially Judy's district, is super important. Thank you. And here is Judy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kyoko, and Judy, if you could.
Okay, so are you ready for me to start?
Yes,
or
yes, please.
Okay, so first of all, yes, I am Representative Judy Schwiebert, and I'm thrilled to be with you all tonight. You have been really huge in the past 2 elections and helping to get me elected to the Arizona State House. And we are at the point where we are just 1 vote shy of a tie in both the State House and the State Senate. And As Kyoko mentioned, we broke the trifecta that Republicans had. We now have a Democratic governor. The first time in almost 20 years we've had a Democratic governor, and Republicans are losing their minds and are very upset that there is anybody other than a Republican making, putting forth ideas about what we need to do in our budget. The really great news is that, well, I'll back up. Arizona has been run by Republicans for decades, and in recent years, they become more and more extreme. It's a case of the tail truly wagging the dog. The extremist portion of the Republican Party call themselves the Freedom Caucus, and I think that they're the opposite of freedom. They want to make sure to roll back our rights to not only make our own reproductive decisions, but even decide on what kind of books people are allowed to read. And there's a constant assault on some of our most vulnerable young people, people in the LGBTQ community. They also have been attacking our freedom to vote, trying to make it harder and harder. Fortunately, this last year, we were able to block most of those bills, not because we can do so in the legislature, because they have a 1-vote majority, but because Governor Hobbs can veto those. And she set a record of, I think, something like 143 vetoes this year, which tells you how many really terrible bills the Republicans put forward. So the problem is we can stop a lot of these terrible bills, but we can't move the agenda forward for everyday Arizonans. If you live in Arizona and you are a millionaire, you are in good shape under the Republican regime. But if you are a middle class Arizonan, not so much. A couple of years ago, the Republicans passed a 2.5% flat tax, they call it, which sounds so nice, but the effect of that was to give the wealthiest Arizonans a huge tax cut. They've also been working very hard to take apart public education, and Arizona already has a lot of school choice. We're an open enrollment state, but the Republicans have pushed the private school agenda and have passed universal voucher expansion, which, as I mentioned earlier in the call, if you weren't on the call then, we've had a 408% increase in the number of families getting a minimum of a $7,000 voucher to either educate their child at home or in a private school. But enrollment in public schools has only gone down by 1%. So what's happened with universal voucher expansion is that people who are wealthy enough to already pay for private school, whose children have never, ever been in a public school, are now getting a $7,000 plus coupon from the state to offset that tuition that they've already been able to afford to pay. And in the meantime, we don't have enough money to properly fund our public schools. Teacher salaries are among the lowest in the nation, as is our per pupil investment. That's not going to change unless we get a new Democratic majority, which is why we're fighting so hard. The other thing that's not going to happen without getting that new Democratic majority, I believe, is that number one, we're going to be stuck with a Civil War era abortion ban here in Arizona. And I don't know that we can come out as a state and make sure that we can have a majority for Joe Biden without making sure that we have all hands on deck, volunteers, not only from here, but from you all who've done so much for us in the past to help make sure that we get everybody out to vote. It's really a vote from the bottom of the ballot up. the more people we can get to vote for me for the state Senate. And now Stephanie Simicek, who's now my running mate, she's running to win the House seat that I have had, because we need to hold on to that and pick up one more. And then because I have been the top vote getter for the House the last 2 cycles, I was asked to run for the state Senate because they feel that I have the best chance of unseating the extremist who was appointed to that seat last summer after the other senator from our district had to resign for personal family reasons. So she's an extremist who ran a bill in 2021 that would allow the state legislature to overturn the will of the voters in the state and assign their own electors. So there's so much at stake to winning this seat, and we really, really need your help. So we need your help in a lot of ways. Number one, in the past, you've made phone calls for us. We need that help again. You've written postcards for us. We need that help again. And you've made contributions to our campaigns. For my campaign alone, we have to raise at least $500,000 to meet the advertising budget that we believe we need in order to win this seat. So again, that's something that's really, really important that you can help with. So there's so much at stake in this election. I so appreciate you taking the time to listen to me tonight, and we'll appreciate even more all of you helping out to make sure that we can really save not just Arizona, but also our nation. I believe that Republicans need to be saved from themselves at this point. There's so much extremism. We need common sense representatives who are going to work like I'm working to make sure that everybody gets their chance to thrive. So thank you so much. Please feel free to ask me questions if I can answer anything.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Ramiz, did you want to start?
I would definitely support the campaign of the great honorable madam, being a democratic member. Even I am not in USA presently. I have a simple question, like who is the education minister in Arizona presently? The main education ministry department.
Oh, who is the person administering the election department?
No, I'm talking about the educational ministry department in Arizona, education.
Oh, education. Well, sadly, the person who's our superintendent of public instruction is a man named Tom Horn, who's been around Arizona politics for many, many, many years, and he won that election on scare tactics to stop schools from teaching social emotional learning and the term is escaping me right now, critical race theory, which is not being taught in Arizona, but people believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. There was another question that was written in earlier here. I think this is from Samuel Pierce. Samuel, I'll repeat the question and feel free to unmute if you want to add anything. He says, I think the biggest dog whistle political issue in Arizona is immigration. How can we use education to build consensus to vote blue for Democrats in Arizona? Do you have any thoughts you want to mention on that, Judy?
I think number one, you're right. I think the big dog whistle issue is immigration and border security. And our governor, Governor Hobbs, has come out strongly in favor of border security. It's such an important issue here in Arizona. So as far as how can we use education to build consensus to vote blue for Democrats in Arizona? I think that what we do is that we convince people to that the Republicans have put our economy in a ditch, that they are no longer the party of fiscal responsibility. One of the primary concerns of Arizonans right now, in addition to immigration, is the high cost of living. And so we need to point out how Democrats are working to help mitigate costs for working class families, and that the Republicans have put our economy in a ditch, which is going to raise prices and raise the deficit for our children and grandchildren. So those are important things to point out to them.
I have a question here. Have you found that there are any parts of the Democratic legislative agenda that are strong winners for when you discuss the steps you'd like to take in the future? Is there something that particularly resonates with voters?
Well, yes. One thing that's particularly difficult right now is in Arizona, we also have a huge housing shortage crisis, and rents have skyrocketed and housing prices have skyrocketed. And it's the Democrats who are working on policies to address those things, like capping or rent stabilization, like allowing the cities to include inclusionary zoning, requiring developers to include affordable and workplace housing in their developments, not just high cost housing. I'm sorry, I'm really tired tonight. I've been working really hard all day, and my
No
brain
worries.
is a little bit fried.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with the group over here.
Oh, I'm very happy to. Also, I'm running bills because I get a lot of emails from people complaining about medical costs. So I'm responding to that by offering legislation that would cap prescription drug prices at the federal Medicare negotiated rates, because we see so much I don't know, grifting off the top from pharmaceutical companies that can charge whatever they want here in Arizona. So those are important things also.
Yeah. So do you find that the healthcare challenges and fixes still is a significant voter engagement topic?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm running a couple of constituent bills that are designed to limit what hospitals can charge and what insurance companies should cover, because it's such a huge issue here in Arizona. The healthcare costs, as well as the housing costs, as well as water. The Republicans have, there's a member of the Republican Party who's been the head of the Natural Resources Committee for many, many years, and she blocks any attempt to help rural areas in Arizona manage their water use. And it's the Democrats who are coming up with solutions for the water crisis and ways to mitigate some of that. So if we're gonna, water is life, and we can't have an economy without water here, and everybody's looking for growth in our economy. So we better find ways to better manage that water and better measure the water that is being used. One really popular thing that Governor Hobbs and Attorney General Mays did this year was revoke the leases by some Saudi Arabian companies that were growing alfalfa for their crops back in Saudi Arabia and shipping it back over there because they don't have enough water to grow the alfalfa. Well, these companies were not being charged anything by the previous governor's administration, but they were using an unlimited amount of water, depleting the water table. So those have been revoked or are about to be revoked in some cases. And so we just need some common sense governance that makes sure that we put Arizonans first. Another big issue is a lot of out-of-state corporations are coming in and pushing out home buyers and others, and increasing prices. So Democrats are pushing to put a cap on how much out-of-state corporations are able to do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think Ramiz had a question. Do you still have the question there? And then we'll go to Kyoko.
Question. Hello.
Hello.
As Honorable Ma'am said that in Arizona, the people really face the cost of living and the housing cost and all. Okay, so basically the Democratic members and the Democratic governors are really working out to solve that query. Okay, but apart from that, what kind of suggestions we can give to the government or to the local federal government or to the banking institutions regarding the housing cost of Arizona?
Okay, so there are a number of things that we're doing. I worked with a bicameral housing work group this summer and in the interim. And there's a whole list of bills that I don't have off the top of my head that we're working on that will, like I said, limit corporate ownership, that will return ownership back to Arizonans. And yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but we have a number of things. Let me see if I can pull up a document that I had just a minute ago.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I guess while Judy's looking that up, Kyoko, did you want to introduce your question?
Yeah, so the Arizona is trying to have the constitutional amendment for the abortion rights, right? How's the collection of the signatures going? Because it's a huge numbers you guys are trying to pull off.
Right, it's something like 800,000 signatures that we need to get. Yeah. So but that's going well. We've had a really great response. And so far so good. I don't have the numbers again off the top of my head for that, but it's going well and we expect to get those to get that information. Okay. So here are some of the ways from our joint policy priorities that we released earlier that we're lowering costs for all Arizonans, working to make childcare more affordable for working parents and access to reliable quality childcare to help keep people employed. We're working to lower prescription drug costs, as I talked about earlier, to value and support working families and our workforce by providing large employers, requiring large employers to offer paid family and medical leave for employees. We're instituting a first-time homebuyer assistance plan to address the affordable housing crisis and help more Arizonans reach the American dream. We're preventing the artificial inflation of the housing market by capping corporate landlords' ability to buy up homes across Arizona. We're prohibiting source of income discrimination to help ensure that veterans and people with disabilities and all Arizonans can access housing. We are protecting our water by updating what's called the Groundwater Management Act, which was created in 1980 and does not include any rural areas, and rural areas are crying out for us to allow them to protect their own sources of water, because as it is now, a big out-of-state corporation like Fondamonte from Saudi Arabia can come in and basically build the longest straw into the aquifer and suck up all the water that people who lived there for generations have been counting on. Let's see. And was there something else that you wanted me to talk about that those are some of the main things that we've discussed?
Yeah, I think that hits the questions that were asked in the during this meeting. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, you bet.
Do you find that that these bills, do I understand correctly that if we can get the Democratic trifecta, this is the kind of legislation that that folks are looking to try to push through? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And do I understand that there is significant resistance by the Republicans to pushing any of these bills through? So they're, in
Oh.
essence, they're waiting until that trifecta can occur.
Oh, yes, the Republicans are not interested in any of this. They are, you know, and when Governor Hobbs puts those out in her State of the State, they say that she's crazy and an extremist and all kinds of things, which is just nonsense. She's just offering up common sense legislations that will help everyday Arizonans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like, almost exactly the same issues we are facing in California. So it's kind of really easy to relate. So when is your primary?
Our primary isn't until August, but I don't have a primary, and Stephanie Simicek doesn't have a primary. We are in a purple district. There are more independents than Republicans and more Republicans than Democrats. But like I said, I have been the top vote getter in the last 2 cycles. I've spent my life in this district, and so I know a lot of people. I think I have name recognition. I think Stephanie, as a member of the Deer Valley School Board and the top vote getter in that election last cycle, has a lot of name recognition. Women tend to outperform men here in Arizona. Teachers tend to outperform other candidates. And so we are, you know, placing all our bets on Legislative District 2 to make sure that we can win this.
Yeah, and LD2 overlaps AZ-1, right? Who is the candidate? Do you know?
For the Congressional District 1?
Yeah, Congressional District.
Yes, we have a really full Democratic primary, and David Schweikert has been our representative in Congress for, I don't know, at least 10 years, maybe 12 years or more. And he was censured by his own party for misuse of funds, and yet he has continued to be elected. The one good piece of news in our redistricting last time was that this District 1 was made a little bit more purple. It's not as easy for him to win in this district. So last cycle, a Democrat, Jevin Hodge, came pretty close.
Yes.
And this cycle, it could be one of 5 or 6 or 7 Democrats. One is a guy named Andre Cherney, who is the former Democratic chair here in Arizona, is a veteran. Another is a man named Amish Shah, who is a emergency room physician. Another is Marlene Woods, who is the widow of Grant Woods, a beloved politician here in Arizona. Another is Connor O'Callahan, who has really successfully raised a lot of money in the race. And then there are some other candidates as well. Those are just the ones that I guess I consider the top possibilities.
So it really helps to start working for you and get the vote out. Would
Yes.
really make
Yes.
difference for the candidate, because they cannot really campaign for general yet. August primary is quite late. So yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
excellent.
Do you have a link for your website and of course the donation?
Yes, yes. Thank you for asking. Let me find you. I've been opening a lot of stuff here. There you are. And I'll put it in the chat. You can just go to judyforaz.com. That is my website, and hold on one second. Let me give you a joint donation link, because I hope that you would donate to both Stephanie and me. We need her to win this seat as well. And so here's a link where you can donate to both of us, and it will be split 50-50.
Excellent. We'll be passing that around throughout our Tri-Valley community. So thank you for that. And do I understand from what you're saying earlier that the kind of support that we provide in the past, the phone banking, the letter writing, donations, that's all the kind of support that will be valuable going forward again? Is that
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. We would really appreciate that help.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Do we have any last questions for Judy? Otherwise, I think that covers our featured speaker.
Okay.
Let's see, let me check the chat in case. Okay. So those are the links you sent. I'll make sure that we get those passed out. So thank you again, Judy. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you making time in the busy schedule. I'm sure that's exhausting, getting out there, talking to everybody, and staying on the campaign for it's going to be a very long and very grueling upcoming year.
Well,
So-
we've just gotten underway, so it's particularly busy right now with the session going in
Yeah.
addition to campaigning. I don't mean to complain at all. It's like, I'm very humbled to be at the point of this, to happen to be the one that's at the point of the spear, because I said yes to running, but this doesn't happen without a whole lot of people working really hard, and so many people are working hard on this, and thank you for all the work that you all will bring to this race as well. Thank you.
Thank you for taking on that burden. We'll do everything we can to support.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yep. Well, thank you
Thanks,
all
Rob.
very much. Yep. And that concludes our meeting for tonight. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at swingleftrivalley@gmail.com. And otherwise, we'll send out the link to the YouTube event afterwards, and we'll send out notes about some of the discussion points here. So thank you all and have a good night.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Yep.
You.
Yeah. Bye-bye.